Hi, Stan.
Hi, Stan. And Curtis and Chris and
Hello.
Virginia.
Sing.
And Khenpo.
Where are you joining us from? Hi. We is this for? Are you in Singapore?
Yes, I'm in Singapore. I'm
Oh,
so happy.
yeah, we
Morning.
know. Oh, that's nice.
It's very late in the night. The other round I joined you.
It's nighttime, isn't it?
Oh,
No, it's morning.
Morning or whatever.
yeah.
Well, welcome again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, Dana.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to share the opening prayers and let's see.
Okay, move it over a little bit. Yeah. Okay, can everyone see the opening prayers? Okay. We'll just read through one time each one. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to omniscience.
Those who create obstacles in my path to omniscience.
Can you mute yourselves?
Okay, I got it.
Okay. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly will I establish them in a state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous
A
deeds.
state of unsurpassed.
In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the 4 continents, and the sun and moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. To the lamas who possess the 3 kayas, I offer the outer, inner, and secret offerings with my body, wealth, and all that is visible. Please grant me the supreme realization, enlightenment. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confessing, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. Om Guru Deva Dakini Ratna Mandala Pratitsa Soha. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the 2 vehicles and their combination according to the dispositions and likewise the mental capacities of sentient beings.
Samala, Trashi Delek.
So Tashi Delek to all of you. So I'm sure you're familiar with the word Tashi Delek in Tibetan, which is sort of like hello, but it also means literally, may you have all goodness and auspiciousness.
Tini Trenga Pe Missip Gapochung, Tini Jasi Lane, Defi Junior Choso Nyamdela.
And so Kimbola says he's really delighted to be here this evening with all of you. and sharing in these teachings of the 37 Bodhisattva practices.
Tani dendra jasi lalin sobde ma de pemisi pa tani namba sanji bi chike ani tawa tang gomba chopa daga nongjin ke je lam jewe ke namja te da thambi cha sangwa ko tongbi yongji ta de ji cha ko yore tani de yamba indi tsani tani tring nga so ngin de na choso de nyamdalen de shi juya tang ani de shi juwa nanjin ke chorang so ke ani ji yangdaba ji nyamslin te rewa yos.
And so these 37 Bodhisattva practices really contain the entirety of the Buddha's teachings. So they contain, the view, the meditation and conduct, all the aspects and teachings on the view, meditation and conduct. And also contained within it is the entirety of the ground, the path, and the fruition. So to have this opportunity, where Khenpo La can explain the 37 Bodhisattva practices to you, it's his hope that then also receiving those teachings, that then you'll be able to really, also put them into direct practice in your own lives.
Tani chetang ke namba sanji bichi chetang lapar te jasi sanchok samba namje lalin deda tamji la ngara rani nguni ane deda tamji cherje de nyams lang ji ane nyams lang na ji ki soso ke chi samno no ta de sanji chomde de sungi chi dang ta jasi sanchok samba namje lalin deda tamji ane jikten khano jisi pa niwa yana ane simjin deda tamji la dewa de jiba ji yungji yimba de ngaran ke she takwan is the ichi yos and the chena bake the yanong jina nyams lintipike and the rewache yos.
Khenpo La chirang amcho taya ditso yobe gainsana ke tesa tata kogmendo marang de sabodawa mendo ya chichina ya gre chichina so yangcha de chitang jangchu simbe la de kashe tse kashe la song
yeah any chitang toba sanji shakya to be chi tang and take song yale jansi sanjo sabalam namje lam tsinji malo limbi yong da tamjela rani ki nyams londe teni she tapani da tamje teni zambalen gang da nipa yana pemsi ba simji mabo jela pin tuji ba ji ngarang ki she tabi deni ichi yos ani ichi yowa nanjin ke ani chorong chola pa sheba indi zani ani deki ji ni sam ji ni ani koro ta changma la pin tu li ke da rewa chi bo ji ke yos.
So he says, in general, the practices, these bodhisattva practices, and when they're understood and then put into practice, and in general, actually, all of the teachings of the Buddha, all of the Buddha's teachings, when one practices those, when they're really put into practice, then he says he has no doubt that they actually bring about genuine happiness for whoever practices them. Really, the teachings of the Buddha bring about the true and genuine happiness of all sentient beings. And he says he has complete confidence in that, complete faith in that from the bottom of his heart. And so really, these teachings on the Buddha's teachings on the path of bodhisattvas are completely unmistaken. There's no error in them. They're completely pure and uncorrupted, and whoever really practices them will experience the direct benefit. They really bring about the limitless benefit of sentient beings.
Tani data ke jasi ladlin sodim and the tan rewanzing the zomba pote ane jasi ngi chi thome shiwares.
And so the author of these 37 Bodhisattva practices is the Bodhisattva or Gyaltse Ngulchu Togme Zangpo.
ane kong da dirap juksam da jibye tawale zongjo jire dosi. ane kong dirap juksam da jibye dirap juksam da jibye ane kong dirap juksam da jibye le zonga ta ane kong gonglo jibye toni ane dawa su yores.
Chubji?
Jibye gonglo jibye toni dawa su yores.
14.
Yeah.
14 lo chung chung rawa.
Re lo chung chung re
Yeah,
ame te kaps ta lo jibye teni dawa su jo jires.
And Gyaltse Ngulchu Togme lived during the maybe 13th, 14th century, and he became ordained at the age of 14. When he was 14 years old, he became a monk.
Tani kong rad zongni zongde ane pache da lama da gegin de da tamji zhang yibji zamji din yores.
And once he became ordained, he relied on and studied with a succession of great teachers. In fact, he had about 40 different spiritual teachers that he studied with and relied on at different points in time.
ane korong sha yog de pickups ane gongpa mambu ji Khenpo ze yores.
Gongpa yapo komason.
kong gongpa mambu Khenpo ze yores da polo yog de pickups.
Kong Khenpo nyamdu de yapo komason gongta.
Gongpa mambu monastery mambu la.
Kong zoyore.
Ya kong gongpa mambu Khenpo ji yores. Gongpa monastery mambu Khenpo ji yore la.
So Kong Khenpo gomba mangpo la che yore gongda. Okay. So he also was a scholar, became a great scholar, Khenpo, and attended or taught at many different monasteries.
Tene kong ge song sam sam ya jo te zo la tang pa che ya ta chong a se yores.
Kare?
Kong ge song sam ya jo yor ba song sam ya jo te da tam la. Song sam tang ka ya ta chong a se yores.
That's so.
And he ya jo yor ba.
And he also composed many different dharma works, and among these there are about 115 dharma works, main dharma compositions that he composed.
And
he had many students.
Tene kong sha yu pickups ane tipa da samba gomba pen si pa haleak shok chimbo ze dos lo mambo la kan samle yogi ane tena ko tipa da samba gom jam yog dos.
And he also engaged in very extensive practice, study, contemplation and meditation himself, and stayed for long periods of time, or many years in fact, in retreat.
Tani dorna ta kong sha yu pickups kong le la me wan ra wo ji res ya si san chou sin pi nyam si len ki kan sa de la pa che po kan ji ju no kong la me ban ra wo tene re yin sha si tene de yin ba yin di zan ni ta kong ge zom ya le ten chin de da tam je la rang tang chin bo yo ge bi jim sin ra wo ji ta tene de ji cha ku yo res.
And so in brief, actually, during his lifetime while he lived, really there was no one who surpassed him in his level of sort of authentic practice and realization. There was really no one who was like him. And so he really was such an extraordinary practitioner and teacher.
Tani da jasi lalin sobding ma layan da ta korong ke tata ngazo ke manchi junya tabji yorwa that de ke main la jasi lalin sobding ma lagu yores.
And so there is the title of the text, which is the 37 Bodhisattva practices. And so often, when explaining or teaching on a text, you begin first with the explanation of the title.
Tani da de tunda ma de shi chunga yana jal la bitane jawa zubu sanji chumdin de ka ni lo go yores.
And so with the first word in the title, which in Tibetan is gyalse, which actually means bodhisattva, but actually it literally means children of or child of the victorious ones, or children of the victorious ones. And so the first word in Tibetan is gyal, which is victorious or victorious one. And what that gyal is referring to are the victorious ones who are the fully perfected enlightened Buddhas.
Tani jar labdisane jawa labdisane ta nga so jakate bitunda gogore kawani jawa res sanji chomdin de teni ene nyumu ba drapa da shibzi drapa te da thamji chama pangcha nyumu bi drapa da shibzi drapa te da thamji le nyumu bi drapa te da thamji le jarvina ene jarwa la go yores ta nyumu ba drapa te da thamji chama pangcha wa nyumu drapa da shibzi drapa te da thamji chapsang pangcha ene chimba ni ta chata wa chen chimbi yishi te da thamji top sawa yimba yindi tsani ene la ta jawas jawa zupus jawas ta da ji sanji chumde de tsingi ji la ta da ji go yores.
And so actually, in an ordinary sense, this word gyal means, to be victorious, or to sort of reign victorious, and it's kind of connected with the word conquer. And so in what way is it then that the perfected Buddhas are victorious? They are victorious because the Buddhas, the transcendent conquerors, are victorious over the afflictive emotions and the obscurations. So they have completely conquered the obscurations. There are the two types of obscurations: the obscurations of afflictive emotions and the cognitive obscurations, or sometimes this is translated as the obscurations of knowledge or to knowledge. And so having completely purified or abandoned these two types of obscurations, then they are endowed with the two types of omniscient wisdom. The omniscient wisdom, which sees things as they are in their ultimate nature, or as they are actually in their true reality, and the omniscient wisdom, which sees things as they appear in their multiplicity, or fully understands things as they appear in their multiplicity. And so this is what this term gyal is really referring to, is these qualities of the fully perfected Buddhas, having abandoned the obscurations and having fully perfected all the enlightened qualities.
Tas tani si labditsani jal si lamda si labditsani ene nga so pa kapul shi yawa yana bugul lagu yorwa nga so pipe la yana bugul lagu wa tenderji la gores.
And so then there's the second part of this word gyalse. So the second part of the word is se, which means like children. It actually means, child or children. So for instance, the child of a parent, when the parents have a child. So that's what this word see means.
Dani si labdi zane ta sak si chaga yores na ana Jawa zugdu sanji chomdindi ke si go yores jal si labdi zane ana Jawa zugdu sanji ji pe Jawa sanji chomdindi ke pu ta da jel go yores.
And so who is the child here? Who are the children? So the bodhisattvas are referred to as the children of the victorious ones because they are like the children of the fully perfected Buddhas. They're like the offspring of the fully perfected Buddhas. So in that way, they're like they're referred to as the children of the victorious ones.
Dani sanji chomdindi la nga sok pa shetang ke la sanji chomdindi la si mandra wasam sanji chomdindi la pu mandra wasam yore la gu yores sanji chomdindi khung rani je pu ngoma te ane si dachin zeng sin yorwa sanji chomdindi ta tapa maji bing uni ana jabo khabi jog de bikapsus tsumo tanzeng mala si dachin zeng sin ta da chi yore tela sanji chomdindi kai si la gu yores.
And so when we speak of the children of the fully perfected Buddha, the transcendent conqueror, actually there are different meanings with regard to the Buddha's children. So actually there is his actual son, the child of his flesh, who was Rahula, the child he had before, taking up the robes and abandoning the life of a householder, when he had a kingdom and a queen, and he at that time he had a child, a son, by the name of Rahula. So this is the son or child of his body, his physical son, or the son of his flesh.
Dene kong song si se a ji yor song si de da tam ji ne ko san din de ge song wi chi de da tam ji ne ana nyam se len ke nyin ti da ran san ji de da tam ji la ana song si ko res
Di ya po ko ma song sung se su ya
song si nyin ti da jong ba de da tam ji ko chu res nyin ti da jong ba yor wa 산지 좀 된데 그 송대다 탐지 니니 에네 코롱소 냠슬링 디자니다 좀 공부 탑로 기지 열와 다다 탐지라 송그시레스 송그시 산지 좀 되게 송이치 대다 탐지 냠슬링 에네 소소 게다 좀 공부 탑로 기다 탐지라 그 송그시라 그레스.
So then there are also the children of the Buddha's speech. So his the children. So first it was the child of his body, and then the children of his speech. So the children of his speech are referring to the Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, and Arhats. So the Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas hearing the Buddha's enlightened speech and then putting that into practice, engaging in practice, reach the state of arhatship. And so therefore the arhats, or the Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, are the children of the Buddha's speech, of his enlightened speech.
ene Jawa zugu sanji ki song yali chi paro tsamba trau ta sanjo kusenda paro tsamba trau diving ipo yate da tamji tsay yanda nyams langte ene soso ki jila tani tokpa te da tamji che changchen te da tamji la ta ene Jawa zugu sanji ki tok si lagu yore si tok labdi zane ta nying si lagu yarwa nying po o ta tada da ji yinba yindi zane tok si di zane ta tok si sanjo samba labdi zane no sancho ke senta parot sa patro doing ipo ye ana papu lami la je te na tham chai
gongta do ni boje tene pakpe
doing ipo ye ana ta te shi na de sancho ke sin paro chapa tro divi ki po je te da tam ji sai je de nyams lang te so so ke ji le che sawa che la ana jawa zu sanji ki thau ke si la go yores.
So then there are the children of his heart, or the children of his enlightened mind. And so his heart children are in fact the bodhisattvas, those who engage in the teachings of the great vehicle, practicing the dharmas such as perfecting the 6 paramitas, engaging in the 4 means of attracting beings, and practicing the trainings, the higher trainings of the bodhisattva aspiration. And therefore, then they traverse on the path to awakening, and actually then finally emulate the Buddhas, or they become fully perfected Buddhas themselves. And so therefore, they are the children of the Buddha's mind, or his enlightened mind. They're his heart children. So actually the word in Tibetan for the honorific word tuk, it means both heart and mind. So yeah.
Tene train caps papa la ta de caps ta papit ni she de si te kar res na ta thau ke si san chok saba te da tam ji la go go yores.
And so when we, in this case, with the title, which is the Tibetan word gyalse, and then this word, the second word, which is child or children, se, is referring to the fact that the Bodhisattvas are these 3rd type of children of the Buddha's children, his heart children.
Tene la li lab do la li lab di chan ta nyams lemba la len ta wa la gurwa nga so le kan us la len ta wa ta nyams lemba te la go go res.
And so then the next word is in Tibetan, so the order is reversed. So the next word is practices. So practices means the trainings that one actually puts into practice, the activities that one engages in or practices, the actual training.
Tene tan de caps papa ne tin de la len lab di chan kar la len kar nyams len go resina ani jasi san chok saba nam ji choba te da tam ji nyams len go res jasi san chok saba nam choba te da tam ji kar resina san chok sem je da no ji da ji nya ba da ji je wa go paro chaba tro nyams le divi ki po je nyams le da no ji okay
Gongdan ha de na tri to komento. So dampo chupa de so dagshin jewa.
Oh yeah ngi go ni ya cha la go tani la len lab di chan ta kar la len lab di chan nyams le ba wa nyams kar ling go go yoresina jasi san chok samba nam ji choba ta jasi san chok samba nam ji ta sam no tong tong le ka le tang ke ga shi tang la len le nga yi sam ko cholam te da tham ji res and jasi san chok samba nam ji le nga yi sam ko cholam te kan den da ji yoresina and san chok sem se a chi da dajin nyamba dajin jewa gomba paro tsamba ro nyams lemba diving ipo ye nyams lemba demba ni tong lo yaba demba ye tong ha koya ta da tham ji nyams lenji tela ne jasi sanjuk saba namchi nyamlin se yores.
And so what is it then that these practices that we are referring to here? So what are the practices of bodhisattvas? So when we speak of these practices, we're referring to the proper conduct of a bodhisattva, which includes really every aspect of conduct or activity. So their actual actions of body and speech, and the way their attitude, the attitude or the proper sort of way of thinking, the manner of their thinking, and the content of their activity. So the exalted Bodhisattva conduct of in body, speech, and mind. And so the conduct of a Bodhisattva begins with bodhicitta, developing bodhicitta. So there, and then also there are the practices, for instance, of equalizing self and others, exchanging self and others, regarding and then finally sacrificing oneself for the sake and benefit of others, or completely foregoing one's own purpose in order to achieve the benefit of others. And then there are, of course, the practices of the 6 perfections, the 4 means of attracting beings or disciples, and their mind, the mind of a bodhisattva is one that completely understands the nature of the 2 truths, and also understands the nature of the 4 noble truths. And so these are some of the many practices or activities engaged in by bodhisattvas.
아니 소대인 랍디자네다 나저 진짜 소대인 랍거와 트랑스 소대인 랍거와 아 트랑스 소대인데 간다지레시나 아니 자싱기 치통메 잠보케 아니 산초스미 교바테다 탐지 트랑스 소대인 콘스 디네다 아 마시바레스.
And so why is it that we have 37? So then there the final part of the title is this the 37, these 37 practices. So 37 is the number of practices or trainings that Gyaltse Muchu Tongme has subsumed, all of the vast conduct of bodhisattvas into these main kind of concise 37 points.
Gyaltse Sanchok Sapa namji lam nyamsilembike tenji teda tamji nune china delija mangsachi Sanchok Sipi Yonjo Sinichi Yore, Delija Mangsachi Sanchok Sipi Sasinichi Yore. Teni Yato Goyana Sanji Jomdindi Ka Tambo, the Nipa Nino, Kanipa Ka Papa Lagrava, Ka Papa Tenila, Yato Goyano, Tadaji Yores.
Oh, Gongta. So the Chunjo Dang Jangchub Sempe Sa Dang Ka Dambo Dang Nipa, so the Korlo Barpa, Sungyu Sarawa, then the
Ka Tambo Marada, Ka Papi Kans, Kanipa, Ka Papi like Ka Papa Sanji Jomdindi, Chinkoramba Tambo, the Nipa Koyorwa. Chijin color ba Nipiko with caps and a coronado Sanjuk Sak and Namja de la Tamji Chapsan here at the Nayato at the Chires. Then Teda Tamjili Majasing to me Coronkin, Dor Dipanda, which in Dor Dipachin, Sholo Casim just so dinuna, Ma Diajochi res. Sholoka did Hakorwa, Sakan Jerela, Sholoka, Rela, Guyorwanazo. That the Didachi Tank Sholo Simjik, so they Mississippi Lee Law Dor Dibat the Chinama, that she is.
So. And so actually these 37 practices of a bodhisattva, they are so a more extensive explanation or elaboration on the practices of bodhisattvas would be, for instance, the Bodhicharya Avatara, or also, for instance, the stages of a bodhisattva. So when the Buddha taught or engaged in the turnings of the wheel of dharma, there was the first turning of the wheel, or the first set of teachings, and then there's the middle turning, or which is the second set of teachings. And so the stages of a bodhisattva are based on, or really contain these Buddha's teachings of the second turning. And so Muchu Togme Zangbo took all of the content of these seminal works and kind of condensed them into these very concise, pithy instructions, which are comprised of these 37 verses. So the 37 practices are actually, each verse contains its own practice. So it is, these teachings are comprised of verses. They're in verse, and there are 37 of them, 37 verses, which is the condensed essence of all that is contained in the Bodhicharya, Vatara, and the stages of a Bodhisattva.
Tani timba indi tsani ta di joni ane ngaso poki nuna ta chopra jobas di tsani ta so anda pandra worwa ta stondop de chia ta tede jil ko gori chopra jobas ni chi yores chopra jobatela tambo sanskrit no namo loko shora ya landwa.
And so there is this traditional introduction to any text that you really find in Tibetan, all of the texts that also have been written in Tibetan follow kind of this tradition that started in ancient India, or with the Buddhist texts in India, where first there is the homage. So the author pays homage and then also states the commitment position. And so first we have the homage, which is actually in Sanskrit. So it says Namo Lokeshvaraya.
Namo labditsani ta chalo lagu yores.
So Namo, though I think in art, I'm not sure actually that we have what version you all have for the translation that you're using, but the one I have says homage to Lokeshvaraya. So they actually translated Namo already, but actually in Tibetan it has these words which are in Sanskrit. So it says Namo Lokeshvaraya, and the first word Namo means homage or I prostrate.
Lokeshvara ya labditsani chirin zela warwa chirin ze papa chirin zela dona tani papa chirin zela chalo lagu yores.
And so then the second word, which is Lokeshvara or Lokeshvaraya, is referring to Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara. And so what these lines actually, what this line actually says, these words actually say, are I prostrate to Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara, or I prostrate or I pay homage to Chenrezig.
Ani chetanke ta jasi ni chitungme khuni je ana ta jake ta poki jiga khuni ana chopra josa te ana papa chirize jindwa papa chirize je go bijim chin de kara resina ani ta koronke jasi ni chitungme koronke yadam hla ya bares yadam hla te ana papa chirize wa so de chaka yores ana khunke Pabachini ze wansau te kungi yadam la chagu bijimsi kararesi na tani pabachini ze wansau te ana zamba da ninje ke la ji chagu yores ane tani kungi chi nyamsi lenje de jasi sanchok samba namje ke joba teres jasi sanchok samba namje joba ngangke ana lalen nyamlen zo te ana ke sanchok semsia ji yores teres tindi yimba yidi zani ana kungi yadam ke la pabachini ze wansau damba tang ana kunke tela ana ta tenji matsam kumoni ana kunke tela.
And so why is it that in particular Gyaltse Ngulchu Togme is paying homage to Chenrezig? So for two reasons. One is the content of this composition or this text is the conduct of bodhisattvas. And then also because and Chenrezig, the noble Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara was Gyaltse Ngulchu Togme's own Yiram deity. So why was Chenrezig his Yiram deity? Because his main focus throughout his life was perfecting the practices of bodhisattvas and therefore generating bodhicitta and perfecting the qualities of love and compassion. And as Chenrezig is a deity which really exemplifies or is kind of the quintessence of those qualities of love and compassion and bodhicitta, then here Gyaltse Ngulchu Togme is paying homage first and foremost, or he's supplicating at the outset of the composition of this text. He is supplicating the deity who embodies the very essence of bodhicitta, who is his own Yiram deity, Lord Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara in Sanskrit.
Then Papa Chinese one so the country race in Papa Chinese one choke de kunke and she did a Yams long de kunke Sibak Kamsam Koalan Kamsam don't have the Jasavares, Papa Chinese one so the Kamsam Kovi don't that's how I chagores. Kong Kamsam Koala don't have the Jatsai and a young Kong talk Ninja Kimboku good the and some vision and come some quick don't have the Tamji Javi set it and Abakan and so Tandrawa me but then you do your race.
And so Chenrezig, Lord Chenrezig, who himself was a bodhisattva, practiced the dharma and fully and reached the state of fully perfected awakening. So he became entirely liberated, achieved freedom from the three realms of cyclic existence. And yet, having achieved freedom with his tremendous compassion, he could not forsake beings. And so even though he himself had attained fully perfected liberation, he had the commitment to remain in samsara until all beings were liberated in order to free all sentient beings from suffering.
Then it by Yidizani and Jasim Tomizabokani and Koroyadam Jala, yours.
And so in any case, this is why Gyaltse Ngulchu Togme relied upon Chenrezig as his own main practice, as his own Yiram deity.
Then it didn't Yoni, Tangazo, Bogek to the Sholok, Jing on Papa Jiris, the ones on Chopra Joyores.
And so then following this, there is a whole verse in Tibetan, which is further paying homage to Lord, the protector Chenrezig, Lord Chenrezig.
Tani day in by Indizani, that also Boke Noni, Ma. Jeshi Junya Teres, Tapoino and Papa Chiris, the ones on Chopra Joya Satema, Dungis.
So this is the explanation of this initial part, there in Sanskrit, and then the next verse, which is in Tibetan, then he's going to recite.
Tani Kang Chi Gon Rovu Mezi Kilakuyoresina Papa Chinis a one so Ganki, Papa Chinis a one so key, and the Tadanga so can hang the cheated at Tamji and the call cheated at Tamji and Roata, Uma jewa tang ga pa ta pa ta che ba ke kun ji ma yin ba ze yore si tang zo dong dam den bi wang da tang wa yana chi de da tham ji ye dong ma de jewa yo ma ga pa yo ma chewa yo ma de yin de san chi ta de chi de jen ga ni sam de ta wa ji da da ji cha ko yore de yin de san ni pa pa ji ri ze wan so ke ana koron chi de da tham ji jen ga ni sam de ta wa de da ji ze yore.
So it says, actually, he read through only the first part of the verse in Tibetan, which actually is at the bottom of our verse in English. So, but it says, at all times I prostrate with respectful three doors of body, speech, and mind to the Supreme Guru and the Protector Chenrezig, who, though realizing that all phenomena neither come nor go, make single-minded effort for the sake of all sentient beings. So actually in the Tibetan, first it's stating Chenrezig, the Protector Chenrezig, who, realizing that all phenomena neither come nor go. So this is acknowledging the meaning of the ultimate truth, which is perfectly seen and understood by the Protector Chenrezig, who sees that from the perspective of the ultimate truth, there is no coming or going. There is no, it is beyond the extremes of coming and going, beyond the extremes of eternalism or nihilism. So this is referring to the ultimate truth of all phenomena. So all phenomena are primordially without birth. They are primordially unborn. So they are free of arising, abiding, and passing away, or free of birth, abiding, and cessation.
And
so Lord Chenrezig has realized this ultimate true nature of emptiness perfectly without any error, or the completely unerring realization of the ultimate truth.
Nyomu te da tamji kawani chungu dongha te da tamji kawani chungu ta de chane nga chu ta dongha te da tamji kawani yungu yores dongha tamji nyomu ba ke nyomu bi jekin le tini dongha te da tamji chungu yorwa ane nyomu ba te kawani chungu yores na ta da zamba nga sin chi yorwa ta nga sin ta da zamba le tini ane korong nyomu te che yore tini nga chu ta ya chen de chane ta korong ane yapo chita indi chane ta dongha yung kin yung cha raw te nga se de atela thu yore ta chitang ke nga cho ke sipa khap sang khu dongha le ta go ane nyumu pang ko se yor wa nyumu pang se de chane nyumu ka de chi pang ko re se na nga cho dongha do go mare se dongha te kawani chung go yore se na dongha te nyumu ni chung go yore ta dongha te nyumu ni chung go yore se na yo na nyumu te kawani chung go yore se na nyumu te danze ni chung go yore ta nga da nga is ne te ni jini nga da nga is ne te ni ngi nga chusal cha yin chusal dang cha dang wang te ni ramba je de nyumu bi do cha chi da to mo ke le ka ling go yor ti li sa ba le te na nga cho dongha pa du me ba chi nyung go yor wa te yin di cha ni ta dongha ki jung za da de nyumu yin ba de nyumu ki jung za da dan zhen yin go yor es dan zhen te da tham ji yang ta ba je da pang thwa ya na ko nyumu chu ya ko ye ko yo mar wa den ji yin ba yin di cha ni na ko dan zhen ki pang thwa ya na da me ke tong tu wa re da me si ti cha ni sa mo tong ba ni ji tong tu tong ta ga ro na ko go yor te yin di cha ni da me de tong ni ji tong ji pa chi kyang cha go yor o ta ti de ji le de shi chung go yor
So this realization of the ultimate truth is referring to the truth of a profound emptiness, the profound truth of emptiness. What is a profound emptiness? Profound emptiness is the same as realizing the truth of selflessness. It's the same meaning as the truth of selflessness. And so all suffering comes from the afflictive emotions. And so based on the afflictive, if the afflictive emotions are present, then there is suffering. So suffering creates, or the afflictive emotions create the causes and conditions of suffering. And where do those afflictive emotions come from? Where does suffering come from? It comes from the mind of self-grasping, the mind that is sort of focused on this sense of a truly existent self, or this mind that says I exist. And if we look closely, if we look well at the nature of that self-grasping, we see how much suffering it brings, and we understand that actually suffering and the mind of self-grasping are really one and the same. And so the way to abandon or to become free of suffering is to diminish the afflictive emotions, or so again, where, and if we wish to abandon suffering, then where does that suffering come from? So it comes from the afflictive emotions, which come from the mind of self-grasping or self-clinging. And so once we have that mind of self-grasping, then we are very sort of self-centered and always orienting towards the well-being and benefit of the self. So there's a lot of attachment to everything that we associate with this sense of self, or the well-being of the self. And then everything that we sense as a sort of a threat to that becomes other. And so there's attachment to self, and then there's aversion to other. And then based on this mind of attachment and aversion, we have all of the elaborations of the three poisons of ignorance, desire, and hatred that arise. And so therefore, this this becomes an endless source of suffering. The source of all of these, the source of suffering itself are these afflictive emotions, which comes from this very basic root of self-grasping. And so once one really understands that, then gradually the mind of self-grasping diminishes, and one becomes able to realize the truth of selflessness. That realization of the truth of selflessness is the same as the realization of emptiness.
Tani tam papa kiri ze wan so ke kamsang kubi donga te da tam chi nyang ma go wan kamsang kubi donga le tra cha samo tong ba ni je tong tu chawa yana ana kamsang ko ala yang je che lum go mare we sina te mare si khong ke donga te da tam je le khong donga te da tam je le tra cha ana li da nyung mo ba se cha de cha kamsang ko ala yang je lab go yo mare te yana ya khong no thau la ning je che bo yo res thau ning je che bo yo ba yin di cha ni 아니 공개 양절 맞추기 땅 값은 고안을 다당 맞추 니 대사는 값은 고안 맞추 상만 값은 고안을 니도 요르와 대인바 인디자니 맞총 값은 고안을 요바 인디자는 값은 고안을 용기 상말라 동하그라지레 동하리 자탑 요마르와 리다 뉴무비 왕가 맞추를 왕메 바 인디 동한 값은 고안을 코데게 요레 근데 인바 인디
공다 지랑페 조포송근도
야야
Pe yapo sungdo ina yang matri tu kumento. Ya.
Ya 안되게. 아니 로비 동안 찍다 동제 바스 지금 이 바든 와. 디 동다 가르레스는 오나담 파파 지린제 완초대 뉴무 비드바다 동아 그드바데다 탐질 잘 차와야나. 아니 리다 뉴무 왕그 시방 감성 고알라 양제르 세티발랭 고고 요 말와 감성 고비 동할리 자차와와 지린제 자차와 인디 짠이 땅 파바 지린제 시완양인디 비 공팡나 요로 그러베스나 대야 요요 말레스 요다 대 마조바 가르치고 요레스노 쿵게 톨라 힝게 쳔보 요레스 그 토라 닝제 첨부 요바 인디 자니 아니 단 닝제 첨부 진의 상적 셈진의 직바 직장으로 아 공개 토라 상적 신다 닝제 첨부 요레시 디완게 아니 나좀 합성 코비 심진 대다 탐지 동하 라 동하 그 왕의 요바데 제키 아니 공 양처 체파지 다 나쪽에 동들 배송 첨부 고고네 저 동하를 드로비 탑라 공개 대다 나바간다 참사츠 게비시 인지 적적바다 sometimes 다 강라 간다 텔레 대동진아 아 포구 요레스 하고소에 하고소에
하고송.
야야야 저 하마오는 나라 양절게 잡티슈 아
So the then as it says, so Chenrezig, Noble Chenrezig himself, having become completely free from or having achieved liberation from the three realms of cyclic existence and having realized the truth of emptiness, although he no longer abides in the extreme of existence as a samsaric being in the suffering of the three realms of cyclic existence, because he has great compassion for sentient beings, although he realizes the meaning of the ultimate truth and is completely free of, has fully purified the obscurations of karma and afflictive emotions. Because of his extraordinary compassion for the suffering of sentient beings, he chooses still to remain in order to bring about the benefit of sentient beings, to plunge into the three realms of samsara again in order to benefit and liberate beings. And so we sentient beings suffering in cyclic existence are afflicted by the obscurations of karma and afflictive emotions, and do not are not able to achieve freedom on our own. And so therefore it is due to the kindness and great compassion of bodhisattvas like Chenrezig, who have this, based on this vast bodhisattva intention, do not remain or do not fall into the extremes of existence or peace. So they do not, they are not, remaining in samsara, afflicted by or obscured by the mud of samsara, and yet they also do not dwell in the final peace, and final peace, but instead choose to bring about the benefit, the vast benefit of sentient beings because of their great compassion. And so great compassion and bodhicitta are very close. So they're really like great compassion itself is really the same as bodhicitta. And so with Chenrezig's great compassion, seeing the suffering of sentient beings, then he cannot leave sentient beings to suffer, but is committed to do what has to be done in order to help liberate us, in order to help liberate sentient beings. And so therefore he manifests in myriad ways according to the needs and dispositions of beings, in order to tame beings, to tame us in whatever way is needed to bring about that process of taming. So spontaneously manifesting according to the needs and wishes of sentient beings.
아니 드니 아 소소 시방 합성 코비 동화 탐기를 잘 차와당 소소 시장 시방 합성 코비 동화 탐기를 잘 차와 예나양 아 시완양인디 공팡의 마송기 and the Yankerin comes on COVID don't have that time the Tepam get the series and the Papa Kirin the one to race. And then Papa Kirin the one to dead and Ravi Rangazavi Lamatela ane gosam kipa chimbi cha lamdowa lama chuda kiri zungu nasi lama chuda kiri zungu labde zanita soso kitsabi lama tela tini papa kiri zungu tang kipa chikyang resi yor papa kiri zungu da yerma kipa sinamba papa kiri zungu so da kipa chikyang resi an tela chan chang yes then da soso tsabi lama da kandenda jelang ni je go yoresina ane soso tsabi lama da soso la sanjo ge sendang paro tsapa tro da labra thpa chimbi chi de da tamje soso ge de cher yenda lopti jenken ane soso ke nyamle ba de da tamje kanda ga ya ba de da tamje soso le yabo jin de dongkin ane gom ja go ya na da khadong gem jor che go ya na da daji nya ba jewa sanjo ge sim la so ba garji gom gandaji je go yo ma de da tamje changma ane ji cher yin de dongkin den den de jigla ane soso ke zabila ma serwa 데이터 데이터단 라그레스나 파파키니 자와서 기빠 지경 차고요레스 요레.
So then as it says, so at all time I prostrate with respectful three doors to the supreme guru and the protector Chenrezig, who though realizing that all phenomena neither come nor go, makes single-minded effort for the sake of all sentient beings. So this making single-minded effort for the sake of all sentient beings is what we're talking about here. So that even though Chenrezig has realized this true nature of the ultimate truth, although he himself is completely free from the stains of cyclic existence, he's transcended the three realms of samsara, he does not remain in that sort of final piece of nirvana, but again appears in the world in order to bring about the benefit of sentient beings. So he makes single-minded effort for the sake of all sentient beings. And then again, the order of this is sort of the reverse in Tibetan. But so then the next part is actually that Chenrezig, who is inseparable from the Supreme Guru. So Chenrezig here is equal to the root Lama. So actually the Chenrezig and the root Lama or the root Guru are one and the same. They are indivisible. So who is the root Guru? Who is the root Lama? He is the one who points out, points the way to liberation and awakening, who guides us on the path, who causes us to generate or introduces us to the mind of precious bodhicitta, and guides us through the practices of the six perfections. He shows us what is we need to adopt and what we need to discard, and points out the proper training and conduct of exalted ones who wish to traverse the path of awakening. He introduces us to the methods of meditation, or teaches us the proper way to meditate. And also teaches us the practices of equalizing self and others, exchanging self and others, and so on. And so all of these qualities are the qualities of a precious root guru. And that a precious root guru is one and the same, as Chenrezig. So who is the root guru? The root guru is none other than Chenrezig. They are indivisible. They are one and the same.
네, 대인자비 나타라 다도 고삼 기비 차차로 시대잖아요. 다 차참 기인데 서레스나 아니 자신이 치 통미 잡고 코니레스 다콩 보고 총총 되는 되니 로 gebini ko tapa zuni ana lo denje ta gunglo khung ka si jongdo gunglo denje tonga padal jongdo te padal ta pemsi be gebishini mambo jele tin yore lama mambo jele lama cha chimbo mambo ji tin yore ta tamji chama khung ngni samda ta papa jini ze de ye ma chi pa chang de da ta khung ko de ji gung yore de indi chani ana khung ke de da tamje la tani khon papa jini ze ko mung sam de gom yores.
And so then it says, I prostrate with a respectful three doors of body, speech, and mind. So Gyaltse Muchu Tongme is paying homage to Chenrezig, who really embodies all of his spiritual teachers. So Gyaltse Muchu told me from the age of, when he was a young boy, only at the age of 14, taking ordination, becoming a monk, he lived to be about 75 or so. So he lived until he was about 75. And throughout all his whole life, he relied on many different spiritual teachers. So he had many teachers that he considered to be his lama, his lamas, his heart lamas. And he regarded all of those spiritual teachers to be no different from Chenrezig. So in his supplication to Chenrezig, this contains the essence of all of his root gurus.
드니 다단 디노는 책노
Khenpo,
Excuse me.
Khenpo, maybe we're supposed to end at 8:30 or 7:30 your time.
Oh, time is over.
Yeah, time is over very fast.
Oh, okay. Okay, 드니 this the panjang zoji.
So he just wants to conclude with a few words.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No. 아니 다들 고섬 깊이 찬차로 시대잖아요. 드니 자신이 통해 콩게 아니 리아 이섬 깊이 아침이 고니 아니 그런 콩기자비 라마 파바지네스 예만만 치바텔라 아니 다다니 존데 상 지식 상마지지 바들라 아니 콩길랭아 이섬 깊이 아침이 고니 아니 찬차고 요레스.
So then it says actually these words which come at the end in Tibetan, but are the very first words here in English, as it says at all times. So at all times I prostrate with respectful three doors of body, speech, and mind, then to the Supreme Guru and Protector Chenrezig, and so on. So at all times is referring to not just, temporarily, like in that moment or in this life, but from now on, or from this moment on, until attaining complete enlightenment. So that's what all times encompasses, and so this is Gyaltse Muchu Tongme again sort of stating that commitment of to the Bodhisattva path, that all times paying homage with respectful three doors.
Okay. So
Thank you.
Tujichi.
Thank you. We can say closing prayers. Yeah.
Just share that, Ellen.
가르사.
Oh, 공다. Da 공소 ngoa dongdere.
Yeah.
Ellen, where am I supposed to start? Well, the first three, right? The first three stanzas. First three, right? By this virtue, may I achieve omniscience. By defeating all enemies, confusion, may all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara. May every being ailing with disease be freed at once from every malady. May all the sickness that afflicts the living be instantly and permanently healed. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you very much, Khenpo and Virginia.
Yes. Thank
My
you very
pleasure.
much.
And
Thank you,
everyone who
everyone.
joined us tonight.
What a wonderful teaching.
Yeah.
Very special.
Be yapo jung song tu
Be
chi
yapo jung.
be
Yeah.
mixel kachu mixel yapo jung song tu chi nan.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see
Okay.
you next Monday.
Okay, tene za dawa yang charge yong.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Have a great
You
night.
can unmute and say hi if you want to. Hold on. Let's see.
Thank you. Thank you very
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We look forward to seeing you again.
Sing,
Yang
thanks
charge
for
ya.
joining us from Singapore.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
get some
Thank
sleep.
you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sandra, where are you?
I am back in Austin.
Austin.
Okay.
Austin. I've been in Los Angeles.
Okay.
All right.
Very
I'll
good.
see you guys.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to
All
see you
right.
guys. Thank you for hosting this.
Mm-hmm.
It was our pleasure. Yeah.
Thank
Have a good night, Dana.
You too.
Cheryl,
You
Bye,
too.
everybody.
Curtis. Yeah. Okay.
See you later.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you, Khenpo. Mhm.
Bye.